Did you think making money at live poker was going to be easy? I did when I first started out. I have now played poker for a decade and by now I make a decent income from it, but wow, was it a grind. I wish I'd known some key things sooner to make my journey smoother. So, to make growing your bankroll a bit easier, here are 25 hard truths I've learned about becoming a successful live low stakes player that I wish I'd known sooner. Lesson 1: Bankroll matters more than you think. You study a lot and you build the skills to be successful at the tables, but without a solid bankroll, all your skills won't mean much. You need to make sure that you can go on a 10 buy and downswing and still continue playing without worrying about going bust. Protect your bankroll as if your poker future depends on it, because it does. Lesson 2: Tilt control is a skill. Emotional swings can cost you more than any bad beat. I have seen so many players dust off their stacks of 500 big blinds because they were on tilt. So I can't stress enough how important it is to keep calm and reset after each session, even after each hand. Whenever you feel you can't play your A game, it is best to take a break. Playing on tilt is much worse than not playing at all. Lesson 3: Patience will set you apart. Quick results are rare in poker. Even if you play in a great game, you can't expect to just sit down, play a pot against the whale, and stack it. You have to wait for the right spot without forcing it too much. If you are card dead, accept that you just can't beat the calling station. Embrace patience as one of your biggest strengths at the table. Lesson 4: Not all good advice is right for you. Some strategies are better suited for online high stakes or pro players. Others work better for live cash games players who play against calling stations or tournament players who have to deal with maniacs. Tailor your approach to your specific live poker environment. So don't get caught up in minimum defense frequencies that GTO solvers suggest. Study what works in your games and double down on it. Lesson 5: Think of pain as a sign of growth. When you play poker, it will often feel like you're failing. In fact, even a successful player will always have the impression that he's not good enough. When you lose one pot after the other, one session after the other, it will hurt. But push through, keep studying, and eventually you will succeed, while most other players will give up. Lesson 6: Be honest about your weaknesses. Every player has leaks, even the very best crushers. But it's easy to overlook flaws in our play and explain bad results with having been unlucky. Self-honesty is crucial for growth. Acknowledge mistakes and work on them. And if you can't find them, hire a coach. Lesson 7: Variance isn't just a buzzword, it's a reality. Understand that variance in poker is much higher than you could ever imagine it to be. Whether you get dealt kings when the maniac has aces, or whether you have aces and the maniac sucks out on you with his 9-4 offsuit, or whether you finally flop a set and everyone else folds to your tiny bet, often this variance will work against you. Acknowledge it, but don't let it dictate your game. Lesson 8: Poker isn't always fun. Most beginners imagine that poker is full of all-ins, hero calls, hero folds. But the truth is that if you want to be a winning player, there is a lot of folding involved. When you're serious about getting better, poker will sometimes feel like work. There will be sessions where it's a grind, and that's part of the deal. Accept it. Lesson 9: Connect with like-minded players. Have you noticed how none of your friends or family seem to care about your bad beats? Here's the truth: most people won't understand how poker works. They think it's gambling, and quite frankly, they don't care. Your mom might care, but she's only worried that you'll lose everything you own. That's why it's so important to find others who share your passion for poker and who can offer support when things get tough. So connect with like-minded players, join a group chat, support each other, and stay motivated. Lesson 10: Don't listen to negative comments. You make a thin value bet on the river and you get called by a better hand. The guy next to you starts berating you for your play. He says that you will never get called by a worse hand in that spot. Maybe he's right and you made a mistake. Maybe he's wrong. That's not the point. The point is that I used to try to defend myself in these situations, but I still felt bad. So stop wasting time on negative comments from players who are not better than you. Every second you spend on them is time you could use to read other players or calm down and be mentally ready for the next pot. I'll talk later about whose advice I would take seriously though. Lesson 11. Focus on one game type. It's tempting to jump into the juicy PLO game, play the local $500 tournament, and dabble in some online games. But the thing is, if you struggle to find time, don't add more to your plate by playing different games and different formats. If you are proficient in all of them, it's fine. But if you're still learning, it might just confuse you to learn cash game strategy and tournament strategy, and then also learn to beat live games and online games. If you're serious about improving at live cash games, then focus on just those and maybe use low-stakes online games just to practice. Lesson 12. Playing well won't always feel rewarding. You do exactly the right thing, haven't made a mistake all day, and you're down 2 buy-ins because someone sucked out on you. Sounds familiar? We have all had these sessions. Sadly, the right moves might feel boring or uneventful, but they're often the foundation for long-term success. Lesson 13. Stop comparing yourself to others. Every week you see this player who always seems to book a winning session while you get one bad beat after the other. Or you obsess about the guy who used to play 1-2 with you and now he binked a $200,000 tournament in Vegas. You are jealous of them and their success. This is a normal process, but it is harmful. First of all, you don't know how much money these players have lost on their way to success. And second of all, everybody is at different stages of their life, of their career, etc. Focus on improving your own game. That's the only thing you have control over. And there's something else you can do, which leads me to Lesson 14. Find motivation from other players rather than being jealous. Use these players as examples. Try to understand what they are doing better than you. Work harder to get to the level they are at if they really are better than you. You might even want to hire them as coaches. This will definitely be more beneficial to your game than being jealous. Lesson 15. Take feedback seriously. Earlier, I said that it's important to ignore other players who criticize you. And now I'm telling you to take feedback seriously. Let me explain. Criticism is valuable for growth, but it has to be constructive, and it has to come from someone you respect. Feedback is an asset. Use it to improve instead of taking it personally. Lesson 16. Stay humble in winning streaks. When I had my first Sun run many years ago, I thought I could take on Phil Ivey and Daniel Negreanu at the same time. I hit every flop. I got paid with my big hands. I even managed to make a good laydown or two. And then I was so confident that I tried to play more hands, bluff more, hero call more, only to see all my profit disappear and more. Success can lead to overconfidence, and this can be costly. Enjoy the upswings, but don't take them for granted. Lesson 17. Block out dedicated time if you feel like you don't have enough time to study. Try this. Block out an hour or two in your calendar every other day with no interruptions. Prioritize it above everything else. Otherwise, you'll struggle. If this is too much because you are just a recreational player, then make it a habit to block at least 3 hours a week for studying. Lesson 18. Always aim to be better than in your last session. It is okay if you made a big mistake in the last session. As long as your bankroll is healthy, that's not a big problem. Yes, your win rate won't be as high as it could be, but it doesn't have any influence on your next session. Incremental improvements lead to big gains over time. So just try to be better with every session you play. Your goal should be small improvements consistently, not perfection right away. Lesson 19. Your ego is your enemy. When I realized that most of my mental battles came from ego, it changed everything. I stopped worrying about bad beats, stopped being annoyed by other players for calling my 3-bets with 7-deuce offsuit and then sucking out on me. Instead, I became more open to feedback from players who are better than me. This had a huge impact on my game. Realize almost every negative feeling you have is because of ego. Lesson 20. Never compromise quality for quantity. This is a hard one to accept, but it is so important. It's so tempting to put in more volume. You work your 9 to 5 job all week, and now you finally have some time to play. But if you've played over 8 hours and you can barely tell a spade from a diamond, it's time to wrap it up and go home. You might still be profitable, but maybe you're not. Playing when you are tired or not in the right mindset is detrimental to your long-term win rate. Lesson 21. Don't obsess over your short-term graph. Winning money at poker is great. That's why we play the game after all. But poker is a lifelong game, whether you like it or not. So don't obsess over how you have been doing over the last few sessions. I once felt desperate that I kept losing session after session. But then I zoomed out and I noticed that I was a long-term winner, so it was pointless to focus so much on a short-term losing streak. Lesson 22. Expect burnout and prepare for it. Burnout happens to almost everyone who plays a lot of poker. You need to have strategies for dealing with it, like taking short breaks from the game and doing something completely different. And don't forget to meditate. That helps your mental focus in poker, but also in life. Lesson 23. Embrace the early stages. The beginning feels hard because it is, but that's the phase where you learn the most. Enjoy the process instead of just rushing to become better. Growth takes time, so appreciate each step and don't skip the big lessons, even if they might be painful. Lesson 24. There's no magic formula for success. Poker success isn't based on any one play or strategy. Instead, it's the sum of consistent, well-thought-out decisions. The big plays might move the needle for an individual session, but it is the fundamentally strong and sometimes boring actions that make you a long-term winning player. Lesson 25. Think long-term. This is how poker works. Most people get frustrated that results go up and down. Especially in the early days, you will make loads of mistakes and you will probably not be much more than a break-even player, maybe even a losing player. It feels like you're making no progress, but really you're building foundations. If you consistently work on your skills and gain experience by playing, the results will follow. It just takes time. Thinking in months or even weeks will kill your dream. And if you want tips to improve fast at poker, then this video is exactly for you.